Cheesy the Podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions.
Hi there, I'm your host Fondue.
I'm Cheesy.
In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about Swiss on Mars.
Ooh.
We're talking the moon and cheese.
Whoa.
And what you can eat in space.
Ooh.
We're even going to discuss a cheese product that you can buy
Nice.
and how National Cheese Sacrifice Day relates to sending things to space.
With why?
And of course, no episode would be complete without our very cheesy joke.
Yeah,
Stay tuned for episode 89, Cheese in Space, on Just Cheesy, the podcast. Did you know that in June of this year, Swiss cheese was found on Mars?
It was?
No, silly. What they found was a Swiss cheese-looking rock.
Oh.
According to GrangerToday.com, NASA's Mars rover photographed what they're saying is an Edam-like hollowed-out rock in Jezero Crater on June 26th.
Whoa.
Did you know that they also found a donut?
That's not real.
Right, it's not real. They're saying that they saw what they're describing as a donut-shaped rock.
Whoa.
They go on to explain the reason for the shape is wind erosion.
Really?
They say the wind creates lots of different shapes by sandblasting the rock surfaces.
Whoa.
And in the case of the donut, the rock may have formed after a smaller rock or multiple rocks eroded near its center.
Whoa.
Have you ever heard the story that the moon is made of green cheese?
I think so.
Well, you did, because in
I
season
did?
2, episode 2, we had an episode about mice and the moon and cheese.
Oh.
And in episode 70, we did an episode called Green Cheese.
Yeah, that's right.
Make sure to give these 2 episodes a listen, because they'll tell you all about the moon and green cheese.
Yes, please.
But there's an interesting article on newscientist.com.
Really?
This article poses the question, if the moon changed to green cheese, what would be the consequences?
Ooh.
And of course, as we all know, they're not talking about the literal color green,
Right.
but they're talking about a non-matured cheese.
Immature cheese.
So let's say the moon suddenly changes to green cheese.
Whoa.
According to the article, the most likely outcome is that the cheese would evaporate in the vacuum of space.
Wow.
And they're saying here that when the sun shines on the moon's surface can reach up to 120 degrees Celsius,
Whoa.
which is 248 degrees Fahrenheit.
Holy cow.
And the impact on Earth would be pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
They're saying here that the density of the moon is about 3 times that of cheese.
Whoa.
So if the volume remained the same, the cheese's moon mass would be about 1/3 of the current moon.
Whoa.
So the pull of gravity would be weaker,
Oh.
so the tides on Earth would be reduced.
Yeah.
Since the moon also stabilizes the Earth's axis, there would be shifts in the axis if the moon was changed from rock to cheese.
Whoa.
No maker of green cheese is a sponsor.
Nope.
But when they are, the ad will go right here. Have you ever wanted to listen to the web?
Yeah.
Well, Newsly makes that possible.
They do?
They're an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android.
Super app.
You can listen to trending articles on the web on topics that you choose and get them read to you in a natural human voice.
What kind of topics?
Sports,
Cheese?
tech, business, science.
Cheese?
I'm sure there's even cheese.
Yay.
They even have an entire section for podcasts.
Are we there?
Of course we are.
Ooh.
It's one of my new favorite podcast apps. They even have digital radio.
Holy cow.
Just go to www.newsly.me to download it free.
Whoa.
Or use the link in the description. If you use the promo code CHEESY,
Cheesy.
that'll get you 1 month free premium subscription.
Yay. Newsly.
Now, back to the podcast. I bet you're wondering, what do astronauts eat in space?
Yeah, what?
According to NASA.gov, in an article called Eating in Space, they say that some foods can be eaten in their natural form.
Ooh.
Some require water.
Okay.
They have an oven in space to
Really?
heat foods to the proper temperature, but there are no refrigerators.
Wow.
They provide condiments like ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise.
Nice.
Salt and pepper are only available in liquid form.
Why?
And because there is no gravity in space,
Oh.
if they had regular salt and pepper, it would simply float away.
Oh, wow.
And of course, here they mention there's a danger that would clog air vents and contaminate equipment or get stuck in the astronaut's eyes, mouth, or nose.
Oh, no.
Just like on Earth, astronauts get 3 meals a day.
Yum.
They also get a balanced supply of vitamins and minerals.
Nice.
And their calorie requirement requirements differ by the size of the astronaut.
Okay.
It can be anywhere from 1,900 calories to 3,200 calories per day.
Whoa.
They eat things like peanut butter,
Yum.
chicken, beef, seafood, candy, brownies,
Cheese?
and they have drinks like coffee, tea, orange juice, fruit punch, and lemonade.
Yum.
Their food comes in disposable packages, and they must throw the packages away when they're finished.
Right.
And if you watch the video called Peanut Butter and Jelly in Space, you'll see that they use Velcro to keep a lot of the packaging stuck to the table.
Do they eat cheese?
Of course. According to airanspace.si.edu, all the way back in the Apollo mission,
Whoa.
they had a space food package which contained compressed cheese cracker cubes.
Ooh.
The cheese was protected by a 4-ply laminated film coating.
Okay.
The packaging protected it from flavor loss, moisture, oxygen, spoiling, and excess crumbling.
Whoa.
This particular cheese did not get used in the mission.
Aw.
But in the 1988 shuttle mission Atlantis, they served macaroni and cheese.
Ooh, yum.
Now, in this picture, it looks more like chicken cubes or
Yeah.
cheese curd.
Right.
They would add water to the mac and cheese
Whoa.
to rehydrate the food.
Yum.
According to the website amazingbelgium.be, there is an astronaut named Shannon Walker from the United States who is working on the International Space Station.
Wow.
The astronauts are allowed to draw up what they're calling a wish list.
Ooh.
Shannon encountered a specialty cheese in a Houston area store when she was training as an astronaut.
Nice.
Farm to Grundle in Rumbek
Oh, boy.
makes a cheese called Cristal and Old Farmdale.
Ooh, yum.
And this cheese is on the astronauts' list and is being sent all the way to space.
Holy cow.
And they say here it's not being delivered in a tube, but in its original form.
Wow.
According to freezedryinc.com, you can buy something called space cheese.
Whoa.
This is freeze-dried cheddar cheese, and they're
Yum.
saying it's ready to eat astronaut food.
Oh.
They have options like cheddar,
Ooh.
provolone, mozzarella, smoked Gouda, and American.
Nice.
And these cheeses, for a 1 count, cost $4.16.
Wow.
It's time for my favorite segment.
This week in cheese.
According to nationaltoday.com, July 29th was National Cheese Sacrifice Purchase Day.
What's that?
The point of the holiday is to buy cheese specifically to sacrifice it by cutting a piece and putting it on a mousetrap.
Oh, no.
And if you remember back in Season 2, Episode 2,
Yeah.
mice do not prefer cheese.
Nope.
So this is just a waste of a perfectly good cheese.
Yeah.
Which makes this next article make a lot more sense.
Okay.
According to space.com, back in 2010, a perfectly good wheel of cheese was launched into space.
It was?
And I'm sure you guessed it, it was SpaceX.
Of course.
Elon Musk launched the Wheel of Cheese into space in order to honor a classic skit from the British comedy show Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Ah.
In this skit, John Cleese tries to order cheese from a cheese shop that has no cheese.
Oh, no.
The website goes on to say that the photos that were released by SpaceX show the space cheese wheel sealed in a metal cylinder.
Ooh.
And at least in this particular launch, the cheese rode in the Dragon space capsule for the entire flight.
Wow.
And that goes from launch to splashdown.
Ooh.
At least he didn't leave it up there like the car,
Yeah.
the Tesla Roadster that was launched into space and is still in space orbit.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Cheesy, but I'd like to keep my cheese for eating and my cars for driving.
I'm ready for a joke, Fondue.
Okay. Why do astronauts like eating cheese in space?
Why?
Because cheese makes a really tasty lunch. Get it?
Yeah.
Lunch.
It was really something.
I know, it was out of this
Oh,
world
no.
and a little bit cheesy. Thanks for listening to episode 89,
Thank you.
Cheese in Space. If you're interested in the moon and cheese, check out our show notes
Yeah.
where you can get links to our previous episodes. We'll talk to you next week.
Stay cheesy, everybody.